Have you ever made a mistake so big that you wished you could erase it forever? A mistake that kept you awake at night? A mistake that made you feel embarrassed, disappointed, or even angry at yourself? What if those mistakes weren't the end of your story? What if they were the beginning? This is the story of a young woman named Olivia, who learned that the greatest lessons in life often come wrapped in failure. Olivia was intelligent, talented, and full of dreams, but she had one problem. She hated admitting when she was wrong. Whenever something went badly, she always found someone else to blame. If she failed an exam, it was because the teacher was unfair. If she missed a deadline at work, it was because her coworkers distracted her. If her friendship suffered, it was because other people didn't understand her. Deep inside, Olivia believed that admitting mistakes would make her look weak. So she spent years protecting her pride instead of improving herself. And little by little, her life began to suffer. One day, Olivia received an incredible opportunity. A growing company hired her for an important position. She was excited. "This is my chance," she told herself. Her manager trusted her with a major project that could help the company gain a valuable client. But Olivia made a serious mistake. Instead of carefully checking the details, she rushed through the work. She was overconfident. When a coworker politely pointed out several errors, Olivia ignored the advice. "Know what I'm doing," she said. The presentation went ahead, and it was a disaster. The client immediately noticed the mistakes. The company lost the deal. Her manager was deeply disappointed. That evening, Olivia sat alone in her apartment. For the first time, there was nobody else to blame. The mistake was hers, completely hers. She felt ashamed. Weeks later, things became even worse. A close friend stopped calling her. When Olivia finally asked why, her friend answered honestly. "Olivia, every time something goes wrong, you blame everyone else. You never listen. You never learn." The words hurt, but they were true. That night, Olivia stared at her reflection in the mirror. She remembered all the opportunities she had lost, all the damaged friendships, all the repeated failures. And suddenly she noticed a pattern. The problem wasn't bad luck. The problem wasn't other people. The problem was her unwillingness to learn. For the first time in her life, she asked herself a difficult question. What if my mistakes are trying to teach me something? That question changed everything. The next day, Olivia bought a notebook. On the front page, she wrote, "Lessons from my mistakes." Every evening, she sat down and reflected on her day. When she made a mistake, she no longer searched for excuses. Instead, she asked, "What happened? Why did it happen? What can I do differently next time?" At first, it was uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. But slowly she began to grow. A few months later, Olivia received another important project at work. This time she checked every detail, then she checked them again. She invited coworkers to review her work and listened carefully to their feedback. Instead of acting defensive, she welcomed criticism. The project was a huge success. Her manager noticed the difference. "Changed," he said, and he was right. But the biggest transformation happened inside Olivia. She became more humble, more patient, more willing to learn. When she failed, she no longer saw failure as proof that she was worthless. She saw it as a lesson, a teacher, a stepping stone. And because she learned from every mistake, she stopped repeating the same ones. Year after year, her confidence grew, not because she was perfect, but because she was constantly improving. Several years later, Olivia became a respected leader in her company. Young employees often asked her how she became so successful. They expected her to share secret strategies or special techniques. Instead, she smiled and said, "I became successful the day I stopped running from my mistakes." Employees looked surprised, so she continued, "Every mistake contains a lesson. If you ignore the lesson, the mistake will return. If you learn the lesson, the mistake becomes wisdom." And that's exactly what happened to Olivia. The same mistakes that once caused her pain became the foundation of her success. The failures that once embarrassed her became the experiences that made her stronger. The lessons she once avoided became the keys that opened new doors. Moral of the story: mistakes are not your enemies. They are your teachers. The people who grow the most in life are not those who never fail. They are those who have the courage to admit their failures, learn from them, and move forward wiser than before. So the next time you make a mistake, don't ask, "Why did this happen to me?" Ask, What is this trying to teach me? Because every mistake you learn from becomes a step toward a better future. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more inspiring and life-changing stories. And in the comments, tell us, what is one mistake that taught you an important lesson in life? We'd love to hear your story.